There's two certainties in life. We're going to die
And
and we're going to
taxes.
pay a lot of taxes.
Welcome to another episode, TFT, Between Dollars to Dreams. It's our fall series. We continue here. We are, of course, happy to be outside again.
Definitely.
And today we're going to talk about, I think, something that people often overlook, and that's the will to live. But more seriously, a will. How much of that's a difficult conversation to have
Yeah.
with your loved ones.
Yeah.
And I think who should get a will?
Basically, if you have a child, if you have a spouse, if you have any dependents, right, then you need a will.
Yeah,
Right?
and even if you don't, and
Mhm.
you want to put your money the right place, then having a will can give that sense of
Yeah,
direction.
especially if you want to donate. Let's say you want to give it to your favorite charity, to make sure that your wishes are adhered to. Having a will make sure that this is taken care of. Now, the problem is that as human beings, myself included, when we think of a will, we think of dying, and that's a hard discussion to have, thinking about death. But you know what they say: there's two certainties in life. We're going to die and we're going to pay a lot of taxes. So both of them we could deal with to trying to minimize. So let's look at making sure that your wishes are adhered to upon death.
Yeah, and in terms of having that will, it's like having a peace of mind, knowing that after you've passed, things will be taken care of. Now, in terms of the will, that's where you will contact a lawyer to ensure that you have that. And the reason you want to ensure that your will is in place is because, as you said, you might have kids, you might have families that you want to have that done. You don't want them to go through the hassle and the process, because that might end up costing more than what is there for them, and to have that ease of transition.
Yeah. I mean, death, I've gone through many people in my family that has passed away. It's so traumatic to deal with in the first place. Now having to deal with finances and making sure this goes here, CRA gets theirs, CPP gets theirs, OAS gets theirs back. Let them have time to grieve. Let them have time to mourn you, and let other professionals deal with with the financial aspect of your passing.
And with the will, it kind of gives you the direction of where you want things to go. So now you know that, okay, X is going to get this, Y is going to get this. How do I ensure that happens? How do I put things in place? So you've worked with your lawyer to ensure that you've set up your will. Now you've worked with the financial planner to ensure that these things are in the best vehicle, I guess.
Well, in terms of making sure that when it comes to the division of your asset, that we do it in the most effective, productive, and tax efficient way, right? Because without having a will, or without also naming beneficiaries on various accounts, well, guess what? It's going to go to your estate. It'll be subject to probate. There'll be deemed disposition. There'll be tax implication, and at the end, your loved ones will get less than what you originally anticipated, and they won't get it in a timely manner. Another thing I like to say, unfortunately, 1 out of 2 marriages ends up in divorce. And what we see now is blended family, right? So blended families, we've got Jack that has kids from a previous marriage, and we've got Jill that have kids from a previous marriage. Without having a will, what could happen is that if Jack dies first, right, Jack's kids may not get anything. Because what will happen is that Jack dies first, the assets goes automatically to Jill. So that's Jack's assets and Jill's assets now belong to Jill. And now, years later, when Jill dies, then all of Jack's assets and Jill's assets will go to Jill's kids, and nothing for Jack's kids. having a will, having a trust in place will kind of ensure that both families get their rightful inheritance. So it is important
Right.
to have one.
So, whether there are different types of wills that you can have, but
Hmm.
that's as we said, that's where the lawyers will come in
Yeah.
and have that in place
Yeah.
for you.
And a lawyer drawn will is not just the only will.
Yeah.
You could have a holograph will that you handwrite, and that will be valid. You
Hmm.
don't even need witnesses. But the problem with that is that if it's not properly executed,
Yeah.
you might do certain things wrongs and disinherit
Hmm.
one side of your lineage, your kids,
Hmm.
especially if you have if you have multiple children and one has passed away before you die. There is the possibility that you disinherit a lineage. So normally having a lawyer take a look at it makes sure that all your wishes are kind of adhered to. You could do it on your own, but remember, you get what you pay for
Yeah.
a lot of times.
So that's the conversation. It's a difficult conversation to have,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it's an important reminder
Yeah.
to everyone
Yeah.
to ensure that they're setting a time
Hmm.
to discuss the will
Hmm.
and ensuring that beyond the grave
Hmm.
that their wishes are being fulfilled.
And on top of that, by having your will done by a lawyer, at the same time they'll probably do a power of attorney,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
A POA. So two powers of attorney, one for property for your financial affairs,
yeah,
and one for your health, right? Healthcare. So I like to say the healthcare one is. To let them know when to pull the plug and when not to pull the plug.
yeah.
So, as I tell my kids, if I'm still breathing, don't pull that plug because I'm coming back. Right. So, but at least
Before I get there.
yeah, exactly. Before, yeah, he'll pull the plug, right? He'll knock the plug up, right? But having those three things: a will, power of attorney for property, right? When you are incapable of dealing with your finances, so let's say you're still alive, but you've had a stroke and you cannot deal with your, financial affairs, having a power of attorney, the attorney will be able to handle, paying your mortgage on time, paying your
Mhm.
bills, paying the electricity, making the investments while you're still alive. And the other one, the power of attorney for healthcare,
Mhm.
if for let's say religious reasons you don't, blood transfusion is something that you don't want to have. Well, at least these you'll have an advocate for yourself that will make sure that your healthcare decisions are followed based on your particular wishes. So having the will,
Mhm.
having the powers of attorney is kind of essential. Unfortunately, we're getting older. I see that in my own family. And, unfortunately, it's inevitable. And to give you the time to grieve and to process, there'll be one less thing to kind of worry about.
That's right. And before Pierre met me, he had his will. But now he's met me, he needs to adjust his will.
That is
And you
correct.
can have an amendment in
That
your
is
will.
correct.
So you always can go to your lawyer and have that amendment to that will.
Exactly.
Because I'm now there.
And leave everything to the cat instead of Josh. So yes, I'll make that amendment.
That has brought us to the end of our episode today, Between Dollars to Dreams. And, you know, we have our dollars
Hmm.
and we have dreams for our children
Hmm.
or whoever our beneficiaries are.
Hmm.
And we need to sort that out through that will.
Hmm.
Get it done today. Thank you. Like, subscribe, share. We've got more content coming this fall for you.